Hello, everyone, and welcome to yet another episode of Pause Talk. And today we have with us from London, Omita Gaikwad. Welcome, Omita.
Thank you so much, Monica. It's an absolute pleasure and honor to be here on your very selfless show, which you put with so much dedication, love, and purpose. So thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much for your kind words. So, Amita is a influential leadership speaker, and she's also an executive coach. I will request Amita first now to introduce herself.
Such an interesting question, isn't it, Monica? Introduce yourself. And I think many of us assume that we know who we are, don't we? And then yet we don't actually take the time. So I believe I know who I am now. I'll share what comes from the heart and the soul. So first of all, I'm a human being. I'm a woman. I'm a single mom, and I'm a 2x cancer survivor. And blended together with over 15 to 20 years of management and senior leadership experience, I've come to a point where I accept my purpose as influential leadership speaker and executive coach. And that's been infused by a lot of life and professional experiences. So yes, I'm showing up here today knowing who I am and owning who I am. So it's an absolute treat to be sharing some of this with you.
Oh, this is so wonderful. Nobody had introduced themselves like this before.
Okay.
I will very candidly share this one thing with you here also again, Amita, that when somebody asks that, what is your name? Or yeah, who you are. So we will say that I am, for example, I am Monica Nagpal. We will say like that, no? Yes. But am I the name? So that is what when I introduce myself in my another one of the another programs which I do on mindfulness, I always say my name is Monica Nagpal. I never say I am Monica Nagpal because I'm not my name probably. Name is just a name. So thank you for that wonderful introduction.
Not at all. And like you said, I think our perception shapes every moment and experience, isn't it? So for this moment, this is what my perception was. And like you said, it's so what a lovely experience.
Absolutely beautiful. So beautiful. I'm sure things are really going to unfold in a more beautiful way now. Yeah. So once we have done with the introduction of Omita, who is a wonderful human being as we have known her now. And she is a very strong and courageous by her journey. I can see that. So how did you start your professional journey, Omita?
So very interesting question. Some people have a definitive dream or, a specific profession or career that they want to focus on. For most of my childhood and adolescence, I believed I was to be a doctor because my late father, who was a doctor, very fearlessly and fiercely conditioned me to believe that. So most of my studies up until the point of, in the UK, it's the A levels, in India, it's the 12th standard, etc. I was under the impression that all of my studies and will go towards, a medical career. However, there was a twist, and I didn't end up studying medicine. I ended up going to university and studying law. So this is another, whether you want to say it was one of those, let's just say presentable or acceptable professions to some families and teachers, or whether it's because I felt that I have some good core skills here and ability to do well in that career. So I embarked upon the journey of a law degree, but then life intervened, so to speak. And I went through my first experience with cancer at the age of 20, which, to be honest with you, left me, spinning. The cultural support wasn't there. The understanding of what was really going on within myself, the impact this was going to have, all of these, questions, etc., hadn't sort of imposed upon me. So I got a bit distracted from the legal career, so to speak. So there was a bit of questioning coming on there. So I was mechanically continuing to study law. And then I had a car accident where basically during the car accident, an unmarked police car came and crashed into me. And the fault was actually on the police men who were driving. So it was taken to court. So the traffic police here in the UK took the other police department and team to court. And what I found fascinating was that there was a truth or a perception of the truth that I believed happened and did happen. And yet this was manipulated in a way to retain the other police drivers. And so I lost faith in that experience. And I'm one of these individuals that if something doesn't fully align with who I am, if I don't believe in it, I can't apply myself to it. So I thought, so I did whatever I could to complete those studies. And then I ended up getting my first job in the NHS, in the healthcare sector. So I suppose one step towards healthcare, but as a non-clinical sort of, around the roles of engagement and involvement, working with communities, understanding patients and public health. That's where I started my sort of career in the NHS. And I've always worked in the NHS on and off in a number of roles since then. I think partly because I feel obliged, because my late father was a surgeon who always worked for the NHS. So the food came on the table because of the NHS. So I was grateful to give back. Secondly, because I now had some clear lived experience as a cancer patient. So I felt maybe there's a different perspective I can bring to the role and to the end user. And I always could see how much, there was opportunities to change and shape the NHS. So the NHS has been a huge part of my life. So that was the kind of initial, start to my career, but it wasn't a linear career for me, to be honest with you, Monica. To me, to get to where I am today, I had no idea this is what I would be doing in my life. I was married for a very short period of time, and I became, miraculously a mother because of health reasons. I wasn't sure if I would be gifted with that experience, and I was. So when I became a single mom, my only priority was survival, but being there for my child. So I was not career driven. I was survival driven, to be honest with you, or motherly, driven as a parent first. So I did a number of freelance and flexible pieces of work. I did event management for a while. I did some consultancy because somebody thought I was a good communicator, so many things, to be honest with you. But then I reverted back to the NHS, and really the career again just sort of unfolded. Coaching became a part of who I am, mostly for my own self-development and self-transformation, and some other experiences in some professional roles. And then coming to this point. So that's kind of the journey in a nutshell.
Oh my God, that's not a nutshell. That's a whole big nut, actually. Yeah, because just looking back, what you were saying is that because your father wanted you to be in a medical profession, and any which ways you landed up in a hospital, a setup of a health system. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
whatever way it would be, like even if you became a lawyer, but you were there between those white coat people, even if you were wearing the black coat, but you were among the white coats.
Yes, absolutely. And if only my father was here, I think he probably would have had some satisfaction to have seen some of the roles I've accomplished. But what's interesting is some people ironically sometimes refer to me as the energy doctor, because Omita, you're like a doctor, but you basically work based on energy and mindset. So you are healing. I mean, that's a great way of looking at it. So
absolutely. That's again one more thing which is very, very subtly, which I also tell. Like I call myself as Doctor of Hope and Happiness.
There we go. Exactly. So, absolutely.
So it is how we are healing. The doctor is the one who heals. Maybe you are a registered doctor, a medical practitioner who has studied medicine or not, but you are healing people around you. So any which ways, you are a doctor now.
Here we go.
So that's so wonderful. Again, coming to, because you were just sharing about your medical condition, and you were sharing about your relationship thing. So when did that pause came? Because we are here for a pause talk. How we can really encourage the women who would have taken any of those pauses. So I would request you to share your pause in your life. And was it self-imposed, or you had taken that your own? Somebody had imposed on you?
Yeah, this is such a meaningful question, Monica. And I think one of the main drivers for me to have this conversation with you today. So for me, in effect, the pause, so to speak, happened. It was self-imposed upon, it was imposed upon me. That's what my understanding was. I did not intentionally pause. I had no choice. My mind, my body, my emotions had enough. So the big pause came when, as I mentioned briefly, that so I was doing my law, degree. I had cancer at a very young age. I got married not long after that, and going through a divorce was not so straightforward for me. In that, not that it's straightforward for anybody, but there was a lot of resistance and lack of support for myself based on the cultural stigma that the whole situation has brought upon the family. There was a lot of additional, emotional turmoil and toxicity, etc. So despite enduring that, I actually had picked up my 1-year-old gift of a daughter and we moved to a completely new city. So it was a huge blank sheet of paper, but a big leap of faith. I'm a big believer in divine intervention, universal forces, however we wish to, name or label this concept. And I trusted that someone would support me as a mother, to raise this child and this human being to be a happy being and to experience the world that she deserved to experience it. So I obviously had a lot to endure then. I had to adjust to being a single parent from A to Z, no support network, from every day getting up like 4:35, and also giving my child, I think, a very fulfilled parenting experience, because I never wanted to feel that I had made a decision that would actually feel that she lacked in any sense of love or support. So more pressure, I think I took on myself, maybe too much, but there's no right or wrong in any moment in your life, isn't it? So enduring that for a long number of years, my dad had become ill. They didn't live too far away, but I was always an active daughter. I always have been a proactive daughter from a young age, and even during my marriage and post-marriage. So I would still go back and forth to try and support my mum and my dad. And to be honest with you, I hadn't dealt with the emotions of my divorce. I never dealt with my emotions. This was the problem. Because for me, what I had been raised to believe is the life of a woman, of an Indian woman, as that was very eloquently always, shared upon me, etc., is that you endure, you sacrifice, you tolerate, and I truly, this is what I have. This is what motherhood is, or this is what womanhood is, etc. And we try to affiliate, isn't it, to what feels known to us.
Right.
Give yourself that safe space to actually break free from that or to explore something new. But this expectation I had either set upon myself or society and family and friends was killing me slowly and slowly, because I didn't realize that I was allowed to take a break. I didn't realize that I was allowed to change course myself. So all of this accumulated. Like I said, dad became critically ill, the back and forth, the physical exhaustion, the mental exhaustion. Dad then passed away, and I'll be honest with you, I then reached a complete state of exhaustion. Life caught up on me. It all caught up on me. I literally couldn't do anything. And I think I recognized that I'd got to the point where things can't feel any lower than this, any worse than this. But it was the biggest blessing of my life, because it compelled me to go inward. It compelled me, directed me to realize that external stimulation, materialistic belongings, etc. I mean, I'd always journeyed along the spiritual path, but clearly there was still more realization to happen, right? So this is where that's where my, imposed pause happened. But I really embraced this pause. So then I wanted to discover, first of all, not who am I, what am I? What is a human being? What is energy? What is spirit? I just really deconstructed all of the beliefs that were always imposed upon me, what I was conditioned with. And then I recognized that, this is, what am I shaping my daughter with? What beliefs is she going to have? Can we discover this together? And so slowly but surely, something new, whilst I thought I was fixing or attend to something new was being born, something new was being created and crafted, which the even more beautiful part of life. I think we get so fixated on when things are going wrong, or what we think or what we perceive is going wrong, that we completely miss the opportunity to recognize that we are constantly born creators. We are forever creating, and we can create at any time, in any circumstance. We don't have to be equipped with lots of money. We don't have to be, imbibed with lots of knowledge. We're always enough to create a change, right?
Yeah.
So then I started realize that, wow, this stuff works. And whether you want to call it law of attraction, quantum physics, again, divine path, suddenly I started aligning with individuals and circumstances, which started to feed this new discovered understanding of life. Then I realized, you know what, Mahatma Gandhi's quote, which many of us probably have heard in passing by in our childhood, but I didn't fully understand what this quote meant. Be the change you wish to see in the world. Very loosely and lightly or mechanically, we can understand those words. But then it really dawned on me, wow, I can metamorph, I can transform myself at a cellular level to whatever I want to be.
Absolutely.
I can become whoever I want to be. So I guess I was setting myself free from a lot of, again, expectations from what I thought I had to, meet. And from there, it just began into a really, an even more meaningful and richer life. It doesn't mean more adversity or challenges haven't occurred, but then it's taken the edge off it for me. I've realized that things can go down, but they also can come back up. Right. Or we work on being stagnant or sustain. It's up to us how we want to.
Absolutely. Oh my God. Oh my God. This is superb. This is absolutely superb. We are always creating. That is what is the crux of what she's saying, that we can always become what we want to become. We are always creating something. Every moment of our life, the cells are inside moving and destroying and then creating. So that is how life is also all about. We always say, I'm deadlocked. There is no deadlock like that. No, we cannot. Pause is not a stop. You are just pausing to go back inward. And that is what she did. That is what Omita found out when she was on that stage of her life, and she took a different path. She took a path inside. And that is where she found all the solutions. She found her own self. Her true, authentic self is where she started to then deliver from, because she found her own self. Amazing, amazing, Amita. This is so wonderful. Congratulations that you are now a new human being.
Absolutely.
You are not what you were born with. Those rituals, those clutches, everything which a woman, I'm not saying Indian woman, because as I'm talking to so many other women of different countries, I'm also seeing, and also have studied, because that it is not about only one culture. It is about actually the gender. That
Absolutely.
Gender has been suppressed for a very, very long time. And in some countries, it is still does. In some cultures, it still does. So it is all about your own being as a nurturer, that you have to nurture yourself first. So if we are not nurturing ourselves, how can we nurture the other people around us?
Absolutely.
No, we always forget that, okay, we are supposed to be the producer, the nurturer, the taking care of, and we keep ourselves the last. Yeah. So we should just go back and first start to look after. Self-care becomes very, very important. And that is where that physically, when you start to bring out those malfunctions which happen, like because of that, I believe so, because every disease is psychosomatic, and because of that fatigue which you were talking about, those cells starts to multiply and they become cancerous inside your body. And that is how you had a relapse. That is what I believe so, that it is like that only which happens. So yeah, but you have come out really, really victorious. So congratulations on that.
Thank you. So, and it's just on that point, you said victorious. So I think what it is about us recognizing that life is about choices. I think sometimes we handicap ourselves and say, no, it's not. I'm in this circumstance. How can you say I have a choice? We do. Even if it's this micro or nano level, you have a choice on how you wish to experience what you're going through.
Yes.
No one can actually tell you how to feel in any situation. That is down to you. And the choice I recognized was I became aware, is that I can either be a victim and continue to be a victim, or I can shift that and be a victor. So
Absolutely.
that is a choice, right? And as you mentioned this, and
Yeah.
it's something that I think, like you said, some people think, how can life be so simple? The secrets to life.
Mm.
This is the problem again. We just overcomplicate, don't we? We believe life has to be difficult
Yeah.
because a lot of the time, I think society and culture is,
Yeah.
is pushing us to think that we have. I mean, stress right now as well. Sometimes I meet some youngsters, some individuals, and they say, if I'm not stressed, I don't feel normal.
Correct. They
Wow.
don't get that kick out of it. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what they
exactly. And I
say.
was absolutely, I was fascinated. This is how we've standardized and normalized our
Mm. Correct.
and I think just because of the velocity and pace, we think we don't have a choice, but we do. No matter
Yeah.
what, we definitely have a choice.
Yes. And I always say that when we take that radical pause, that
Yes.
is when we can actually see the choice.
Yeah.
Because if
Absolutely.
you are running in that fast pace, when business becomes your badge of honor, you can never have a choice. But when you
Absolutely.
take a pause and you
Yeah.
just a little back, when you see, you become very objective, you become the observer, and then you see the choices. And then from those choices, you can decide.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
let us move a little further and we will ask you now. The pause is okay, done, but post the
Yeah.
pause, how
Yes.
are you taking your life back?
So I became more aware. My pause made me a more self-aware individual. Well, so I chose it to give
Mm.
me that sort of learning, etc. And the more aware I became, the more I recognized that in these circumstances, when my behaviors or my thoughts did this to me or had this effect on my body, this was either good for me or it wasn't. So that awareness has allowed me to start navigating myself more
Mm-hmm.
effectively no matter what the situation is. So that pause basically catalyzed or planted, the seeds for a completely new way of living, to be honest with you. I am
Mm-hmm.
far more attuned, to what wellness and balance feels like for me because I want to feel well. This
Yes.
another incredibly important part of the pause, our wellness, hope, happiness, etc. I believe the foundation is self-worth. We
Yeah.
have to believe that we deserve it. For many
Absolutely.
years, Monica, I had lost that belief in myself that I was
Mm.
worthy of health or worthy of
Mm.
happiness. Again,
Mm.
pause really helped me recognize that every human being has that birthright of health and
Mm.
happiness.
Mm.
And sometimes it's about maybe realigning, or it's like a homecoming, it's coming back to that truth. And I
Mm.
think it's easy sometimes for us like to have this conversation. We don't know what everybody's individual circumstances are, how heavy, those
Mm.
challenges could be, or maybe
Mm.
they've been enduring circumstances for such a long time. It's natural
Mm.
to really, I think,
Yes.
overwhelmed.
Yes.
But for me, I would, really like to advocate is that every human being does deserve,
Mm.
health and happiness, regardless of what you have and haven't done in your life.
Correct.
And and like you had, related to before, when we actually consciously prioritize either self-care or our health and our happiness, we are actually doing a service to others just by that act in itself.
Absolutely.
Sometimes we feel, what's the return of investment on taking a
Mm.
pause,
Mm.
self-care? We have to justify the pause
Mm.
and self-care,
Mm.
right? Believe it or not, there's plenty of content and information out there, isn't it? There's,
Yeah.
years of rich religious and spiritual teaching, and now there's an amass of scientific and research and evidence, yet still there's an element of doubt and question.
Correct.
And can take this in so many different ways. Taking a pause, however small or however big, is that choice is down to you. But the pause will make you more purposeful. It will make you more present. It will make you perform better. So there is no other, limitation. There are no limitations
Yeah.
on taking a pause. A pause will power you in the most positive way, no matter what.
Absolutely.
Even the
Absolutely.
loss of time is changing the psychology, it's changing your mindset. That loss of time, if you think you want to justify 5 minutes or 50 minutes or 5 days, you will be overwhelmed with far more productivity and you will reap so much more by
Mm.
taking a pause. I will advocate that as a truth because I have lived it. My
Mm.
life now, believe it or not, the responsibilities are still there, but actively infusing rituals of having a pause in different ways that I feel are a pause to me
Mm.
has made my life so much easier, right?
Yes.
And this is what it is. I'm sure all of us would love more ease in our life.
Yes, yes,
So
yes,
it's how we want to frame this, isn't it, Monica? And I'm sure you're more experienced. You can frame the pause in any way you want.
yes,
You can
yes.
interpret it any way you want. Make it comfortable, make it sync with you. But just know that your life will improve in many ways by doing a conscious and purposeful pause.
Absolutely, absolutely. It is very important. And if you have noticed, Amita, you said all the P's. The pause, the
Did I?
positivity, the purpose, the power, everything is all about the P's. No, we have so many beautiful P's out there. No, the
Okay.
powerful P's we have. So yeah, please adopt that pause. It is very, very important to adopt that pause, because the other day in my home also, sometimes you tend to, like, I was not very well last week and I was still doing my work. So my children were saying that, what are you teaching us? You are teaching that whatever it may be, you have to continue to work.
Yeah.
And then when we fall ill, you will say, why did you do this? Why did you do that? So
Very
it
true.
is through us we are teaching the next generation also. And
Absolutely.
the Buddhism actually teaches this. Buddhist scriptures, they say that we are born in this world to live a life of ease. So that doesn't mean that we become like non-productive or become lazy or procrastinate. It doesn't mean that when you're taking a pause, you are just doing nothing. So that
Exactly.
is the point which sometimes people say in their mind, that if I'm taking a pause, people will think that I'm doing nothing, and they refrain from taking that kind of a pause.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Absolutely.
everything is about doing. The whole world works on doing. But
Absolutely.
what I'm saying here is that just be in yourself. Being is more important than what you are doing.
Absolutely.
So when you take that pause, you come to be a person who you really are, that authentic person who you really are. And that person is that person who really wants everything peaceful around. One more P which I want to add here, it is peace.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
Definitely.
with that pause, we can have the peace of mind, we can have peace in the environment. So just go ahead and have a small pause, everybody who is listening.
Exactly. Don't trust, isn't it? Don't take Monica's and my word for it. Go
Yeah.
and play with it, experiment with it, build your own
Yes.
faith in taking a pause, right? At least
Yeah.
from listening to this conversation, at least explore it, isn't it, Monica?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
then I'm sure that the results will speak for themselves.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, on that note, Amita, I just want you to give one small message to the audience who would be listening to our conversation today. One
Yes.
takeaway from the whole of thing. Yeah, please tell us that.
I think one thing I'd love to advocate or state or share is this very phrase or sentence. Know yourself, own that presence, and catalyze or activate that through a purposeful pause. So
Hmm.
learn to know yourself, own that presence, and the easiest way for you to do that will be through a purposeful pause. So that's
Pause.
my message for today, because the moment I started to know myself and then really believe in that presence and own that presence,
Hmm.
my life has changed so much. I
Hmm.
mean, I can say today that I believe that my life is filled with complete abundance and happiness, etc. I'm not a billionaire. I'm not a millionaire. I don't have this. That doesn't matter. The satisfaction, the alignment, the purpose, like you mentioned, the inner peace of mind and peace of
Hmm.
body, the fulfillment in how I show up and interact with individuals, no matter what I do. Now, whether this is at home with loved ones, family or friends, or in a work environment, etc., or society or the community. We are always serving, isn't it? We're
Yeah.
always creating
Yes.
an impact, whether it's
Yes.
conscious or unconscious. So, yeah, my statement is know yourself, own that presence, and the easiest way for you to do that is through taking a purposeful pause.
Oh my God. This is so profound. It is so, so profound. And in just one word, that is be living in this now.
Yes.
Be in this now. That is the most important, because the pause is here. The action is here in the now.
Yeah.
So take that one pause. So thank you so much, Omita. This was so wonderful. I'm really enlightened today by listening to so beautiful what you all have said, that this is like every word which you spoke from your heart was real lived. You have not said something which it is out of the books. You have lived every word what you've said today. So thank you for sharing that with us today. Thank you so much.
But thank you for being you, Monica, and creating such opportunities. I mean, just through this conversation, yourself and myself, it has added another richness and depth again. I will now take this away again as another perspective, and we're forever, I think, deepening that understanding about ourselves. I think the point of knowing ourselves, it never ends, does it? We're constantly experiencing more and more. But thank you. I wish yourself and the initiative so much impact and positive change. No doubt it's already inspired and encouraged so much, but I'm sure it's going to just continue to really uplift and inspire many others to positive change.
Yeah. So all the women who are listening to this beautiful conversation today, get inspired and bring out your pause. Let you be the next guest here so that you can again inspire somebody who is waiting, probably with that pause, thinking that it is a stop, and then they can just unleash themselves. So I'm waiting for you. You can connect to me and I will reach out to you once more. Thank you, Omita. It was really wonderful. Namaste.
Namaste.